Now it's really a very special honor to introduce tonight's honoree. Arif is a man who has done very well, but knows that doing well means doing good. And there are very few people increasingly like that. In fact, my view is that the world where wealth was made by people who recognized that there was sense in having what I call an enlightened self-interest has now become more and more just self-interest. And Arif is one of those people who harkens back to the days of the great philanthropists, who recognizes that with great wealth comes great responsibility, with great success comes great responsibility as well. And he gives back as much as, or more than anyone I know in so many different ways. I'd like to share with you a little bit of his personal journey, but I'll do it briefly. Arif was born in Pakistan, and his journey took him first to the London School of Economics. That was a big skip. Then to Arthur Andersen, and then to American Express. And in 1994, with $50,000 that he'd saved up, he created a company called Cupola Investments, and in 1999, with that company, made what was really the first leveraged buyout in the Middle East for over $100 million. In 2002, he formed Abraj Capital, and Abraj today manages about $8 billion and is the leading private equity company in global growth markets around the world. Quite a remarkable turn of events in just a decade. And that Abraj, I should say, has a very extensive worldwide network throughout Latin America, the Middle East and North Africa, and Africa itself. In 2008, Arif and his family created the Aman Foundation, focusing on improving healthcare, nutrition, and education in his home country of Pakistan. And Arif is also the recipient of numerous awards, including Pakistan's highest civilian award, which I will not try to pronounce. I tried, and I just couldn't get there. And the Oslo Business for Peace Award, which is the highest form of recognition given to individual business leaders for fostering peace and stability through sharing value between business and society. He just said, "Can you stop?" But I'm not going to stop quite yet. I guess by now you can see what a special and generous man we honor tonight. And his generosity to Endeavor has been astounding. It has been Arif and Abraj who have propelled Endeavor's expansion in the Middle East, Southeast Asia, and Africa. And in addition to serving as a board member of Endeavor Global, Arif has spent countless hours mentoring many Endeavor entrepreneurs, and his colleagues at Abraj have done the same, spending hundreds, if not thousands, of hours mentoring our Endeavor entrepreneurs. Arif is a special man. Not only does he recognize that with success comes with responsibility, as I said, but he celebrates that precept. It is really a true privilege for me to introduce you tonight to a gentleman who is a gentleman, who is a caring, concerned, and compassionate man. And lucky for all of us, he's an Endeavor man. Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the stage to receive Endeavor's highest award, Mr. Arif Naqvi. One picture?
thank you so much, Edgar, for that extremely generous introduction. If I had known in advance that he was going to be saying all these things, I promise you I wouldn't have come. To me, this annual gala is actually not a celebration of an individual. It's a celebration of the incredible work that Linda and her colleagues at Endeavor have been doing over the years. Linda and all her colleagues have built an organization that has changed the lives of millions of people. And I use this number with no reserve whatsoever, because the aura of this organization is shining across the world and giving inspiration to literally millions of people. And that being said, for some reason I'm behind this microphone tonight. But I feel that this is an event that should be taking place 365 evenings of the year, celebrating entrepreneurs every single night, because that's the impact that Endeavor has had and is going to have going forward across the world. And certainly, Endeavor knows enough high-impact entrepreneurs to get there if it wants to. I'm not going to bore you this evening with statistics on the impact that entrepreneurs have on innovation, on job creation, on social and economic development. All of us in this room are converts, and we all know and believe in those numbers. We're here in the United States of America, we're here in the West. This is the home of world-famous and driven entrepreneurs. This is where, frankly, in the world of capitalism, entrepreneurship was born. Some of these people have changed our lives, how we work, how we communicate. But the types of entrepreneurs that all of us in this room are interested in, that certainly I am interested in, are those that are changing the course of growth markets all around the world. They may be small by the standards of Google or Yahoo, but they're huge in terms of the impact that they have on their communities. I've grown up in growth markets, and a lot of you around this room have grown up in those markets too. And I've had the privilege of building my business in those markets, in economies that today are being heralded across the world as being the drivers of global growth. And they expect it to continue to be that over the course of the next few decades. Because the markets where I live and people like Fadi live and a lot of people in this room live are the markets of the future. And why is that so? And why is it important to all of you? And I will endeavor to try, no pun intended, to explain why. This world that we're living in is increasingly becoming urbanized. More than 1 million people a week are moving into cities in this world. And that means for the very first time, more than half of us live in cities across the world. That's 1 million people a week is the equivalent of 8 New York cities a year. And interestingly, cities, not countries, are the drivers of the growth opportunity that we see in the world today. When you align that with demographics, the average age in these markets is 27. The average age in OECD countries is 40. That's the point at which people start worrying about saving. When you're 27, you're consuming. And the third element that's very important is the growing middle classes in these markets. These are titanic trends, but they're the basis, the bedrock for why entrepreneurship will succeed within these markets and will accelerate within these markets. And all of these changes that we're experiencing are all driven by young, aspiring business leaders that inhabit all of these worlds. The map that Linda was showing you earlier, these people are the ones that are going to change the world tomorrow. I'm sure many of you told your friends or your children that this evening you were going to a gala event to celebrate entrepreneurship. I'd like to submit to you that actually the reason you came here is not to celebrate entrepreneurship, but you came here to celebrate your own giving back, the give back that Endeavor is so focused on. That's the value proposition that Endeavor has given all of us. It's changed the way all of us think, and that's why we all signed up to come here tonight. Each and every one of us, in our way, is focused on giving back. And actually tonight, all of us here are very privileged people. We're living in a world with increasing inequality. If you look at the statistics that people like the World Economic Forum and so on distribute, it's also a very unequal world and an unfortunate world. And therefore, for those of us that have privilege, we actually have a responsibility. It's an imperative, it's not a choice, to act as responsible global citizens. Within the private sector, we have a responsibility to do that with more and more effectiveness in whichever way each and every one of us can. At Abraj, since Edgar was generous enough to talk about the firm that I and my colleagues have built over the last decade, at Abraj, we don't look at this as being something where it's a nice to do. For us, it's a have to do. From the very first day that I started the firm, I had a very clear understanding in my head that 5% of our top line, not our bottom line, was going to go into stakeholder engagement and sustainable causes in the regions in which we operated. We did so for a whole host of reasons. But one reason that I remember telling my colleagues with frequency was that we as a business cannot be an island of excellence in an ocean of turbulence. And that world that we inhabit is quite turbulent. And so we created something called Asset, which my colleague Fred Sikre, who's here, dedicated his career to building up. Asset stands for the Abraj Strategic Stakeholder Engagement Track. And we developed that as a model alongside our firm. It was not enough to make money for our investors and for ourselves. It was to do so in a culture of engagement with the communities in which we operated, and to try and make an impact in the lives of the people that we were coming into contact with. And as a result of that, we've been able to impact directly a few 100,000 lives. We've given close to $100 million as a business into causes around our regions. Our staff have put in close to 12,000 hours of their time to mentor people to participate in community engagement. We've participated in the arts and in the culture. And why do we do that? It's because I have a dream, and I'm sure you've heard this before, but I do have a dream. And my dream is actually a very simple one. Being a person who has, because of the work I do, the ability to influence hundreds of companies in the world in which we live. Those hundreds of companies that we have the privilege of owning for a period of time before we go on and sell them, if we can infect them with the virus of giving, if we can infect them with thinking from a stakeholder engaged pattern, and if we can get them, and these are all decent sized businesses, to even give away just $1 million a year into not just organizations like Endeavor, but a whole host of local opportunities where money can be spent, then just as one firm, just as a simple firm, we can be responsible for giving away every year a couple of $100 million into these communities. So my dream is that not only we do it, but the giants of the private equity industry that inhabit this city and this world start doing it too. And then we've had impact. Then we've created opportunity, and that's what's going to make all the difference. So I've always believed in the need for investment in scale-ups, in high-impact entrepreneurship, as we call them here, because these are the companies that drive forward growth and address the need of economies in a structured manner. These are the entrepreneurs that we need to support, sustain, and they are the cradle of entrepreneurial spirit. They impact and touch the lives of countless millions of people, and particularly so in the growth markets, and provide a fantastic, brilliant, fertile ground for the rise of successful enterprises and new fortunes as we go forward. Endeavor's contribution on a global level to these companies and the high-impact entrepreneurs who guide them has been nothing short of inspirational. That's why I stand here. That's why all of you are here. It serves as an example of a company that has truly created a multiplier effect. And the passion of such an organization, in my opinion, can only come from the top downwards. And that is where the impact that Linda has had is absolutely monumental. Yes, I'm a Linda groupie. And no, don't clap yet. Don't clap yet. Because her unswavering belief in the agility and adaptation of the organization and its members serves as an engine for a lot of entrepreneurs around the world. And for that, I think you and I should applaud her, because she, more than anyone else, every single year is the Endeavor Entrepreneur of the Year. So, in conclusion, what I'd like to say is we're privileged to see so many supported Endeavor entrepreneurs amongst us here this evening as well. We've seen them themselves become angel investors. We saw a movie of a fantastic success story at the start of this evening. And they're now feeding back into their own ecosystems, into which they themselves grew. They're mentoring second and third generation entrepreneurs. And clearly, this means that high impact works. Indeed, in my opinion, this must have been what Anita Roddick, who is the founder of Body Shop, was thinking about when she famously said, in relation to high impact, if you think you're too small to have an impact, try going to bed with a mosquito. Thank you so much, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for having me here. Thank you.